potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Once you change your philosophy, you change your thought pattern. Once you change your thought pattern, you change your attitude. Once you change your attitude, it changes your behavior pattern. And then you go on into some action.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Season 3. This is me, Hector Gomez, with...
Womp womp womp. His co-host Jorge Guzman, who might not be if we keep on doing this international MMA stuff.
I've been doing so many of the international MMA stuff that it just kind of rolls out of the tongue really easy. And if you guys want to follow international MMA, it's on Twitter at I'm a channel.
That is another shameless plug by Hector Gomez.
And I will be out at the Tachi Palace on February 5th for the Tachi Palace fight. So there you go.
Okay, I get the hint. I understand. I know that I haven't been doing my part in getting the Screen Rebel stuff up and going. Getting on time. We're supposed to be here at 9 o'clock. We finally got it together about 9:10, and then I walked out of the room and didn't come back until 40 minutes later.
Yeah, you had company, right?
I did. That's what. And then my company actually, my friend Megan's going to be leaving real soon, and when she takes off, she's going to be gone for, it seems like maybe a couple of years. So she's going to be traveling the country. So this was one of the few times that I'm going to probably be able to see her. I'll probably see her maybe one other time. Until I have a car, I have to have her visit me.
Huh. No car situation. That sucks.
Yeah, well, I have a bike and I have my feet and I got good health. It does make it difficult still to get around, and I remember last time we were here, you asked if I had any shows, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't had any shows with any bands lately, but we will be starting up some shows, it seems like in March. We're practicing right now. We're hoping to tell you to have an album out. We had a practice last week. We're actually having a practice tomorrow, so hopefully if I get some of this stuff up, even with the laptop, maybe I can even, live feed some of the practice session from tomorrow. I've been recording some with the GoPro camera, and hopefully I can have that up too, some of that footage. I've been trying to figure that stuff out, but I'm not the movie editing tech guy like Hector. I rely on him for too many things.
When you're talking about making an album, which band are you talking about?
Sci-Fi Caper.
All right.
Sci-Fi Caper. I needed to practice with Kinship also. It's just that we have more conflicting schedules than we do with Sci-Fi Caper. All
right. So we're going to talk about CES, Consumer Electronics Show 2014. They had a couple big announcements. We had the horrible director of the Transformers have a breakdown and walk away during one of his presentations for a television. Did you see this?
No, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, he was Michael Bay was announcing. What is that?
It's
Hot Rod Rye Bear Republic.
Beer Republic is the name of the beer, and it's the Hot Rod Rye. It's really good. I got it the first time the other day. This is if any sponsors out there from Beer Republic are watching this, we would definitely love to be sponsored by you guys. You guys make some really good stuff. I also like the Rocket Ale.
All right. There you
go. Michael Bay, is that what you're talking about, Phil?
Yeah. And if we have any sponsors for Brita water filtration, that's what I'm drinking today. Brita does a pretty good job of taking out all the shitty egg flavor water that Hanford provides us.
I don't know. I saw an advertisement for a different type of water filtration system that does 5 levels, it says, whereas Brita only does 1 level. Have you seen that one? You haven't seen the...
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. I'll send you the link later.
I don't have TV. I don't watch TV.
You have a computer?
There's no commercials on the computer.
Oh, don't give me that. They show damn advertisements for everything. I mean, you start your computer and it's like an advertisement. It's like, skip ad now. It's like, okay. And it's like, log in, skip ad now. Like, damn, like how many ads do I got to skip?
That's true because when I even like YouTube now, even the stuff we do, we put we put commercials on there too. Like we're gonna get 1,000 some views that we can actually start getting some profit from.
Which we haven't.
But it's all right. So, what do you want to talk about first? About which major announcements were you shocked that they announced on the CES?
I don't know if I was as shocked. This time I know, obviously I'm not in the same room as you when we did it in the past year. I know that you printed out a whole bunch of stuff and you got to pass me the sheet. And you got to show me all the paperwork of all the stuff that you downloaded. I already kind of had a heads up, and people were already kind of getting expectations as to what were the big things. The big things were going to be wearable tech. It's already being advertised everywhere. Like the Samsung Galaxy Gear Watch. Apple's got their own. Twitter has actually done this a long time ago, because I remember them having a watch too that would pop up with your tweet feed, and so you can just read them right there. This was like maybe 3 years back, so this was a huge thing at the expo, and of course TVs. TVs are almost always a huge thing there. I think you said you had some. Were you pretty excited about any of the TVs that are going to be coming out, or?
Well, they had the one that curves. So the whole premise of it curving is that there is no bad angle or where you sit and you can watch it. And I believe that it was an 8x8. It was a 4K television.
It was. Are you talking about the LG one?
Yeah.
And it was OLED. That's the one where it's like the little tiny paper thin ones almost.
Yeah. And so they said it was like an 8x8 because of the 4K, how it was layered.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the most clearest televisions, but I heard it was going to cost about $32,000 to get that model, which is fucking ridiculous for a television.
Yeah, I didn't know what the price range was, but you're right, because everywhere that I went to find like reviews or posts or videos, everybody was talking about the same TV, and it's actually the largest OLED TV that they've had out so far, and it's a 77-inch. So
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know if the curved base makes it where there's no bad angles, or the fact that it's just a really large TV that makes it where there's no bad angles. I mean, that's like walking into a movie theater and saying you can sit in any seat in the house, there's no bad angle. I mean, it's giant. How are you supposed to miss it?
Yeah. Let me see. Hold on. Let me try to figure out. I'll tell you what Michael Bay was trying to say before he stumbled.
Well, you're doing that. I'll talk a little bit more about TVs. In case people don't know, 4K is supposed to be the next generation of TV. Of course, we've already been introduced with not just LED and plasma TVs. Those offer something different each, right? Like one has a gas that lights up, and that's how you see colors, and the other one actually has like little tiny billions of pixels that light up, just like your computer monitors. And then, of course, those run at 1080p. It's supposed to be the highest quality that most of us all know. And then it gets more technical from that, and then frames per second play a role in this. The OLED TV that we were talking about, I believe, I'm not sure how many frames per second that TV ran. I do have some info about some more 4K stuff that are coming out that did specify how many frames per second. But the fact that it's 4K means that it uses 4,000 times the pixelation of what the TVs that we use now, and that's what makes it so clear. The problem is 4K has been around now for a while. It's been around, I want to say, at least 2, maybe 3 years. The problem is that there's no footage for it. Nobody really runs 4K. I mean, so you buy a 4K TV, it doesn't matter because you don't got any 4K stuff. There's no 4K movies or anything. So you basically have a TV that doesn't really run the software. Now there's a few things that are going to be running that. Some of the games that are going to be coming out, if you're a hardcore gamer, I know that 4K does make a huge difference in some of those things. But then again, you need the processing power, like a really fancy computer to do that, because obviously anything that takes that type of pixelation and that type of quality of graphics has to run a lot more power. And so then that kind of runs into not just that, but I would say like cameras. So one of the cameras that I saw that everybody's kind of excited about is Sony's going to be introducing a 4K camera that's going to be running $1,999.99, basically $2,000. So it's a $2,000 camera from Sony, and they did a really good job with this 4K camera. It's going to be running, that one's going to be running 30 frames per second, and I hear that the footage that it actually takes is really nice, that it's really good. And then the cards you can put in are the SD cards, which is good. Sony has finally stepped away from the fact that anytime you buy one of their stuff, they always have their own memory cards, which does suck because it's not universal. So it's good to know that Sony's finally stepping away from that and letting people use other SD cards. The universal SD cards that we know, like the same ones that we put in our phone, you know, we might put in like my GoPro camera. They're all interchangeable except for Sony. I got a Sony PlayStation Vita for Christmas, and I was gonna buy a memory card for it, and I realized I had to buy a specific memory card for that. And the memory card for the Vita, it was a 16 gigabyte that cost me $50. I bought a 64 gigabyte mini, micro SD card for my GoPro camera for the same price. It was 64 gigabytes compared to 16 gigabytes. You know, so I mean, you know, I'm glad that Sony, at least with this new camera, is going to want to be stepping away from that. So 4K is definitely the wave of technology. You know, we will see in the coming years that all that is going to be dropping down in price. I know that you can go buy a really cheap 4K monitor if you wanted to even now, like I said, you know, but there's not many things that are going to be running it. Netflix has announced that they're going to be pushing 4K technology within their own system. I think I sent to Victor, which was our special guest last week, a link to one of the Netflix videos. I guess it's the trial video that Netflix actually uses. And what they do is they run the video and all these different, different like frame rates and different graphics. So it would be like 720, 1080, 4K, and then so this way you can compare it. So you can actually see it on your monitor and see which one runs the best and the smoothest, and if there's even any difference. Because at a certain point, if your TV is only going to be running, let's say 720, even if you put a 1080, then it's not going to look any different. It's going to look exactly the same.
Yeah. And I hear a lot of people saying, like, if you have like a 32-inch or like just a regular standard size television, that you could even still get away with and it's hard to find them now, but you could still even run with a 720, and it's not going to make a difference because of the size of the television. I guess the 1080 and all that really, where it outshines more, it's basically when the bigger the television, the more spacing is where you're really going to see the difference of a 1080 to a 720 or even a 4K. It's just the sizing that really matters of how big you want to kind of get with the 1080 and then eventually the 4K. And I did hear about Netflix and them doing it too, but you have to think about like if you get the 4K version of a thing, you have to have like an incredible high-speed internet for that to even run.
You know, I don't know if it has to be that high speed, because I ran those videos and it didn't really have to buffer too much. You know, Netflix has a really good buffering system. I mean, from the very beginning, because that's what they relied on, was the streaming before almost anyone else. Of course, obviously, like I'm saying, I couldn't tell you the difference because my TV doesn't run 4K, but it ran the video without having to really stop and buffer. You're right, though. It does take a lot of memory, and that's the problem with like things like YouTube. Let's say you want to shoot a video in 4K. Well, YouTube's not going to let you upload a 4K video because they got to upload that much memory onto their database. As it is, they're running, you know, tons and tons of terabytes, you know, every day, you know, every couple of weeks. It's just an insane amount of information. I know, even though like this Sony camera is coming out, you know, for $2,000. When I got my GoPro camera that Malika bought me for my birthday, which I'm very grateful for, it actually does shoot in 4K, but it gobbles up memory so quick. You know, I mean, it's a 64 gigabyte, you know, micro SD card, but it doesn't matter. You know, it can only get so much footage out of it because it's shooting at such a high resolution. But like I'm saying too, even if I shot any kind of video footage in that, I couldn't see any difference, because if I were to upload into any computer, unless it's some sort of like, you know, a high retinal scan, I don't even know if the Macs really show the quality of a 4K. I think you would actually need a specific monitor for that, right?
Yeah, you need a specific monitor to even see the 4K, because the 4K is even larger. Like I think like I have the Nikon P520, and it does the high definition 1080 film, and it's like 1,200 times something. But even the size of the cameras, even the size of the pictures are huge. So you can like zoom in, zoom out. You could even zoom in without getting that much distortion and pixelations and stuff. I can only imagine how a 4K would be and how much loading time it would take to actually render something like that.
Yeah, so I don't know about the rendering part. Every time I try to render or edit or do anything with the GoPro footage I have so far, all I have is a ton of footage. I can't do anything with it still. It's pretty useless. Did you find what you were going to look up for the Michael Bay?
Yeah, so Michael Bay was announcing they were doing something about being a director and taking stuff seriously, and because of how much of the high definition stuff that he does, and so he was doing a thing with Samsung. Let me see. So he was doing a thing for Samsung, and what happened is that the teleprompter that he was reading his thing did not malfunctioned, and he could not even just wing it, and so he got upset, and the guy's like, well, the guy from Samsung's like, well, tell us about your movie coming up and this and that. And he couldn't even say nothing about the movie because he was so upset about the teleprompter. He just said, I'm sorry, I can't do this, and he walked off, and everyone's like, well, all he had to do was talk about the movies that he was doing, and basically Samsung and the cameras and stuff that he was using through Samsung. That's all he had to do, and he couldn't even memorize that or wing it.
Man, that sucks for Michael Bay, and I didn't even know. I did not hear about this. I didn't know that he did this during the expo. I'm kind of surprised. Well, then again, I'm not surprised because this is the same guy who said that he was never going to shoot another action film again because of all the criticism he got, and went out there and shot another action film.
True. He did
more.
Too.
He did 2 more after.
He did. He's done.
He promised us. He promised us
Yeah.
he was not going to give us any more.
He's doing Transformers, the new Transformers, which has the Dinobots, and that's everybody's talking about the huge deal. And he finally fired Shia LaBeouf and Mark Wahlberg's reprising a new role instead of Shia, and then he's doing the fucking horrendous butchering of the Ninja Turtle movie.
Oh, is he going to be doing the new Ninja Turtle movie?
Yeah, he's doing a new Ninja Turtle movie, and he's changed the origin, so they're not from mutation, they're aliens.
Oh, man. So I guess nobody told him the joke of where Ninja Turtles come from, right? Well, you know where they come from, the secret of the ooze, the whole thing? Well,
No.
I'm a huge comic fan, and I subscribe to Bleeding Cool magazine. They just started publishing that, but they've been a website forever. Bleeding Cool is a really cool website to find a whole bunch of information on comic books. But the secret of the ooze, the way it works is it goes actually to Daredevil. So when Daredevil was a kid, and Frank Miller did a whole great reboot of the whole series of like the origin of Daredevil. But when he's a kid, he's grows up in Hell's Kitchen, he's skateboarding around. All of a sudden, somebody was transporting toxic waste that wasn't supposed to be transported in the city, and he crosses, and I think he saves somebody's life. He pushes them out of the way, but the toxic waste falls on his eyes. Well, as it falls on him, and that's why Daredevil's blind, but all his other senses are hiding. The ooze falls into the sewer. And when it falls into the sewer, it lands on these 4 little turtles. And the turtles grow up to be the Ninja Turtles, and then you have Master Splinter and stuff. And it has to actually do with them, and that's where they get it from. And I guess they say that's where, a lot of the puns and stuff come from, like the Foot Soldiers and the Foot Clan, Splinter. It comes from the Daredevil comics and stuff.
So is in the new Ninja Turtle movie, it's not
I don't know.
the origin. Is Ben Affleck gonna do a surprise cameo in that?
I don't know. Ben Affleck's already gonna do every other cameo with Batman and and all the other horrible movies that he's doing.
Yeah, you've heard about the new Justice League movie, right? With Ben Affleck playing Batman and.
Oh, I mean, come on, that's been all over the internet, and you were the one who was even showing me all the different memes and the videos, and Yeah, everybody's so upset. I hate that guy, man, Zack Snyder. I hate him so bad. You know, well, I'm not personally. I don't know. The guy's probably, really cool. Probably buy me a drink and everything. I just hate his movies.
Fuck Zack Snyder. Hey,
I don't know what.
this is okay. Let me rant about Zack Snyder just a little bit. I think he's the greatest person that pulls a prank on anybody. When
Better
300.
than M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah, because what he does is he gets the people that make the best trailers and makes them to make his movies actually look interesting, and then you go watch it. Like he got me at I went to go see 300, right?
He got you at hello.
And I was like, this movie is fucking garbage. It just fucking jumps around so much. And then he did The Watchmen.
The comic book is good for 300.
Yeah, but I'm saying story-wise, he jumps around a lot.
Yeah.
It'll be like, here's the Hunchback, and back to a sex scene, and back to the war scene, and here's this giant guy that looks like a doll scene from Street Fighter, and back to the Hunchback. He just keeps.
Oh yeah.
And here's another orgy, and here's a guy falling in a well. So he does a lot of jumping around, and I think that ruins the movie. He did it with Man of Steel. And Man of Steel pissed me off that he was still doing the jumping thing. But I'll still go watch it because the trailer looks good. And then when I sit in the movie, I'm like, he got me. He fucking got me again. He fucking irritates me. And then just to know that Christopher Nolan still has this respect for him, that he is allowing him to do the Justice League movies and the Superman, the Man of Steel sequel, is like, come on, dude, you fucking saw Man of Steel. Why are you gonna let him tarnish it even more?
Yeah, no, I agree. And Nolan knows what he's doing. I mean, because he did the whole Batman reboot, and that changed a whole era of the way people saw, superhero movies. Everybody saw like, oh, they're always campy, childish, and he was like, no, they don't have to be like that. I'm gonna show you a superhero movie that's not like that. And we saw it, and it was like, wow, it's really not like that. This is believable, just about, Anyway, that's kind of a side thing from the messing it up, Consumer Electronics Expo that we were originally talking about. It's Michael Bay, that's why, because Michael Bay started it. Like everything, Michael Bay ruined something good.
Yeah,
he's ruining our podcast right now.
Yeah. Michael Bay just has this keen sensibility to fucking fall into almost every one of our podcasts.
So let's jump into a different category. Let's talk about gaming.
Yeah, I hate that motherfucker. What are we going to talk about?
Gaming. The only reason I say about gaming, everybody's talking about, it's the same thing, and they actually already been talking about it, and it's supposed to be coming out later on this year, the Oculus Rift. And I know you're super excited about this.
I am, just because of the gameplay and the way it looks, and I guess it's more for PC, right, or a computer, the Oculus Rift, and it has a game already out for it.
No, it has several, because I subscribed to Game Informer, and they talked about all the different games for Oculus Rift and what they entail. Well, some of them aren't even really games. Let's say Oculus Rift is a 3D platform. You actually put on a headset. This isn't the first time. I remember 3D platforms probably coming out in the 80s, I want to say, is when they first started.
And Virtual Boy, remember, for Game Boy.
Yeah, that's right. So you had a Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
I actually remember, and I don't know if you've ever done this, I remember visiting Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco one time, and they used to have a virtual reality arcade. And going in there, it was expensive, man. I paid, I don't know, it was like, I was a kid too, so I didn't eat lunch or dinner that day. We went to school, and I was like, well, I'd rather do this than eat food. And I think I paid, I don't know, it might have been like $20 for like 5 or 10 minutes,
Yeah.
But and what they did then, and I guess that's why Oculus Rift is huge now, because of the technology that they can actually apply this to. But I remember putting on a headset, and I stood on this thing, and it had like a circle barrier around it. So I couldn't. The way you walk was you had a gun, and the gun actually had a thing where you controlled walking. That's how you controlled walking. But when you moved your head, it actually had everything. Like you were inside a different reality, and you were trying to shoot things and stuff. That's why you had the gun. There weren't very many games, you know, and this was probably, I want to say, the really early 90s when I did this. Like you said, there's Virtual Game Boy, but, you know, with technology and it's going rampant and stuff, you know, someone decided, hey, 3D movies are huge. You know, 3D, everything is huge. I mean, 3D TVs, I mean, that was the big thing last year, really, at, you know, CES. You know, shoot, I got a 3D movie, and I'll put the glasses on every once in a while just to see them, you know, just because I like looking at some 3D movie stuff. So I can see that, you know, virtual reality is coming back. I heard that the headset has gotten a lot smaller with the Oculus Rift, even from the ones that they already demoed in the past, so they've been working on that.
They were like this big.
Yeah, what? Most of the time my head was like this. So I was like, you know, I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. I'm tired. I think that's why you only paid for 5 minutes because you couldn't do anymore. Yeah, you went home with a sore neck after that.
Yeah, but, I remember that thing. I remember it. I remember it being yellow, and it was like a circle, and you had to put it over, and it kind of loomed over. Right? Is that the one you were talking about that you played at the arcade? It's like a big old. It almost looked like a yellow helmet that you put on.
Did you do one too then, like that?
I think I did. I think it was some kind of game where you're on the beachfront, and you were shooting.
Well, they gave you the option. I think there was 3 games. There was 3 games. That's all they had. And I can't remember which one I picked now. But I do know that it was like flying. The thing that sucked too is the gun didn't shoot straight. The gun actually shot curved. So it was hard to shoot anything because everything that you pointed at, you had to aim above it. It actually shot like an arrow. You know, like arrows, you know, like real trajectories, you know. But, I mean, you're a kid. I mean, I was like 11 years old. How do I know about trajectories? But anyways, the Oculus Rift is, you know, I mean, you got a Google Glass that came out, you know, last year, and that was huge. So it makes sense that they would have something that's a lot tinier. I think one of the big things about the Oculus Rift, too, is the designer that is there now. He's the CTO. His name's John McCarrick, McCormack, or something like that. It's one of those Irish names. He actually used to be one of the a founder and a lead software developer at ID Software. And if ID Software doesn't sound familiar for people, the games Wolfenstein, Doom, or Quake should sound familiar. And the reason is because
doesn't ring a bell.
No, doesn't not. You heard Doom, right?
I just kidding. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just joking. It was a joke.
Okay. Is that like your international MMA joke? Just
yeah. I remember Wolfenstein was the one where you kill Hitler in the end, right?
Don't ruin it for people. No, does that count as a spoiler?
like a robot Hitler, right? And he says something like, "Oh, Ava," when he dies, right?
There's actually a new Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein is supposed to be the very first-person shooter ever created. So the original Wolfenstein is a 3D game created back in, I want to say, the late 80s. So you can understand why Oculus Rift wanted this guy and for him to show up, you know, because he helped on Doom, and Doom was not the original first-person shooter, but I remember seeing the original Doom. And the original Doom, I mean, I played Doom 3, I played a little bit of Doom 1. I mean, it revolutionized things of how it was, you know, especially in gaming. I mean, everything was just 2D, right? Just scrolling, side-scrolling. And then all of a sudden you get this game, and you're having to shoot things, and you have like a gun in front of you, and you're trying to go around. So he really understands the whole 3D concept, and I hear that the Oculus Rift is really cool. It understands when you're leaning, so you tilt your head, and everything the whole reality would move. I guess everybody who's tried it has really talked very positive about it, and it's supposed to come out probably later this year.
And there's people that have the older version because of the Kickstarter too, correct?
You know, I think so, and I think that's the reason why. I tell you, there are a few games out there. I want to say that there's like 6, but some of them aren't even games. Some of them are like exploring a desk. And it sounds silly, but at the same time, it's the fact that you can put it on, and you're sitting at a desk, and you can interact with your surroundings, you know, and that's what makes it so appealing. So that's one of the things that came out on gaming. there. Another one that came out is Steam. Steam has been pushing. Steam is an online. It's more of a PC thing. They've been pushing. I'm trying to think. They're like Electronic Arts. They put out games.
Okay.
So it would be like a game publishing site. They're huge. Everybody knows them for putting out like Portal, Team Fortress, Half-Life. Like those are the huge games that Steam has put out. Well, Steam has finally started to create their own home consoles, so you don't always have to plug into, a PC. So it'll be like a PlayStation or like an Xbox, and so that's going to be the huge thing that's also going to be coming out. And I guess that there's some really good ones that people got a demo that they really enjoyed, that they liked, that they said that these are really smooth, the transactions is really good, and the controllers are really unique. Steam has their own that's coming out, so that's going to be something that also that's gaming that's huge.
So what? For the people that don't know, Consumer Electronics Show kind of brings up everything of what's supposed to be hitting that year, correct? Of electronics that consumers can buy in early or late 2014. There's even cars there, right?
Oh yeah, it's anything that deals with technology, and that's what makes it exciting. Because like we just went through TVs, gaming. One of the ones that I saw earlier. And I was laughing, and I didn't even know that this even exists. I don't know if you know. Did you know that you can have a stun gun attached to your iPhone?
No.
Okay, so there's a company called Yellow Jacket. You can look them up online. Yellow Jacket stun guns, and you can. They already had one for 4 and the 4S. So they actually just created one for the 5 and the 5S. And they're supposed to be creating some for Galaxy coming out later in the year. So those have not come out yet. So the 5 and the 5S has come out. And essentially what you do is you connect your iPhone to this, and it's also a case. So it's like an OtterBox or anything like that. You drop it, it's supposed to protect your phone. But it's also a stun gun, and it has safety locks on it. From what I've seen, it actually has like 2. It has one on the bottom and one on the top. And so let's say you're walking to your cars late at night and you're scared. Somebody's going to come in and violate you, Hector. What do? You move out your iPhone. And they think that you're calling somebody. Yeah, but you're not calling somebody. What you really have is a stun gun. They come up to you, and instead of doing your MMA stuff, you just zap them. And you're safe. And then you take off running and call somebody. You can actually use the battery pack, I believe, in the stun gun to recharge your phone too, which would of course drain your stun gun, but you also have a backup battery in a way. And if you're even scared that like you want to hand your phone off to your niece or nephew or even your kid, and they're going to stun themselves, you can actually detach it on the new the 5 and the 5S really easy. And I guess that's a feature that they did not have with the 4 and 4. So I'm pretty sure there's some kids that did get stunned out there in the past, but they've learned from those mistakes, and they made it really cool. It sounds silly. It's the newest technology, but it does really look unique. I remember last year when you were talking about it. Wasn't it last year where they had a tetrabyte flash drive? That was the big thing to us.
Yeah, that was huge.
For us it was, because it was something, even though we couldn't afford it, if we could, we were like, that's something we would want. And that's something,
I bet you we could afford it now, though.
I don't know, maybe you. I don't have a car, Hector. Did I fail to mention that at the beginning of this podcast?
Well, I'm just saying because things do go down in price. That's the only reason I'm saying it. I'm not saying like, well, what the hell are you talking about? You don't. Wait, hold on. You don't have a car.
No, I don't have a car.
But you have a PlayStation 4.
That is correct, and I put on layaway for 8 months before I paid for it.
But
maybe 6 months.
Okay, all right. But there's no okay. That's all I needed to say as he's swinging down his ale.
Now, did you ask me? Do I have any games for my PS4?
I'm sorry. Do you have any games for your PS4?
No, I don't, because I couldn't afford those. I just afforded the PS4. It looks nice.
It looks nice.
And
Yeah.
and the games that PlayStation gave me for free, I'm ecstatic about. Thank you, PlayStation. I couldn't play this without you.
So they're making stun guns for Android, so they're going to be Android friendly instead of just Apple friendly, right?
That's right, because we know that the Apple users out there are douchebags, but we figure that there's got to be a few douchebags of Galaxy users out there, and that some of them would also want to stun gun people.
Wait.
I'm just saying.
Doesn't your girlfriend have an Apple, an iPhone?
I'm just saying. Anyways, moving on to the next section. 3D printing is now becoming more affordable, and
Because I'm a douchebag. I do this.
Wait. Before I move on, actually, I want to say, one time my sister was telling me about a really interesting article that she read. It was a study that was conducted in some college, because they always got to do some crazy studies about everything. But they hooked up a bunch of people to, all those neurological sensors and stuff, and tried to see what would fire off and what would go whenever they would talk about something. They found that the same areas that people, when they talk about religion, how they get passionate and they get really intense, the same areas of the mind that get I guess stimulated. It works the same way for Apple users. In a way, it's almost like they can compare that people who believe in Apple are almost like it's a religious experience. I'm just saying.
Okay,
Steve Jobs is going to resurrect in 3 days. That's all I'm saying.
Well, he hasn't resurrected yet.
I don't know.
He hasn't resurrected yet, and
I've heard people say that they've already seen him. He came out of the tomb.
And he didn't cure his own cancer either. So there's a lot of things that are being misconstrued. And I wanted to bring up.
I saw him on the internet. He's alive.
I do have a stun gun story if you want to hear it.
Is this like your Santa Claus stabbing you story?
No. That's funny though too. This didn't actually happen to me, but I'm not gonna say where I worked at. But I worked for a casino at one time. I'm not gonna say what casino I worked at, but I did work at a casino one time, and what I did, my job.
MMA fights there.
A lot of casinos hold a lot of MMA fights.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Okay, there you go.
Okay. It could have been from I could have been working for the one in Porterville, the one in Fresno, the one in Corscoll, Las Vegas, San Miguel Indian Casino in Southern California. Could have been anywhere. I worked for a casino, and my job was to we open up the slot machines and take the metal boxes that have the cash in it, and then we take it back and we break it down and we count the money that's in it. But the security guards at one time, because of the economic bubble was falling, and it wasn't, casinos were losing a lot of money because a lot of people didn't have jobs anymore, and so there was a lot of people starting to rob people in the parking lots and stuff like that, and so they decided to implement the security guards to have stun guns. And they tried it out for a week, and there was this one guy. And we have locker rooms like to change and everything else. We go in our regular civilian clothes, and then we have to wear our uniforms for that work. Anyways, the security guy was taking a shit, and I don't know what happened. He was reaching for the toilet paper, and his stun gun went off, and he hit him like right in the head. And I just remember we heard the thing go off. And then we saw his legs like get straight, and his you can almost see like his feet, like his toes wanted to curl through his boots, and then we just heard snoring. Trying to get him up and everything else, but this is when we were young, so we opened it up, and then we saw he was knocked out. So the first thing we do is take pictures of him, and then we help him out. But then after that incident, they're like, you know what? These guys are too fucking stupid to have anything, and so they took away the stun guns that only lasted about like a couple days in the casino. So that's my story about a stun gun.
How many days was a couple of days?
I think they tried it out for a week, and this was like 2 days after, right when that week was gonna fall, and they're like, "Nah, we can't do this because can you imagine the work comp of people sitting down taking a shit, trying to grab a toilet paper, and the fucking stun gun goes off."
How do you even file that in the doctor's report? Like, how do you even go to someone and say, it's like, well, what are you here for? It's like, well, I had to go to the restroom really bad. I didn't have time to take my stun gun off. He's like, oh, you're one of those, okay.
You have to think about it, though. He did have to do that because he was injured at work. So he basically had to file work comp for reaching for toilet paper to clean his asshole, and he fucking hits the stun gun part and fucking tasers himself in the face.
So let me ask you, do you think in the state of California he would have got a medicinal marijuana card after that?
They probably drug screened him for being an idiot, wondering if he was on drugs when he was trying to grab toilet paper.
And then after that, then they went ahead and gave him a medicine, so this way he could, buy it legally, because he probably needed it after that.
Because now he has chronic headaches. People amaze me sometimes at like the ridiculous shit that people end up doing to themselves. Like, why wouldn't you take your belt off and hang it up and then go to the restroom instead of having a fucking weapon right next to your crotch?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He had to go that bad that he could not take it off. I had a coworker that she was.
You think cops take off their belt when they have to take a shit in the middle of the day?
Of course they do. They're not dumb. When they say that they shoot somebody with a gun and they thought it was the stun gun, I mean that's a really good excuse. I mean they've already showed how many videos when they're like this is a real gun, this is a stun gun. They don't even feel the same. They don't even look the same.
Yeah.
I had a coworker though that's pretty funny. She was trying to become a police officer, which was really scary. I guess I can get into that in a little bit, but one of the things when she was going, so she was training, so she was already like, I don't know how exactly it works. She really had done like some of the police academies, so she was kind of like an intern, and so she would do a lot of the paperwork. So the chief of police, would subscribe her handcuffs and stuff like that. Well, it was like during the breast cancer awareness, which I understand, it's totally cool. So she was glad because he gave her a pink stun gun and pink handcuffs to match. And I was thinking, does it really matter when you're a cop what color anything is? Does it really have to match your attire of what you are?
No.
And she was really scary. She used to frighten us a lot. This was the same girl that said she couldn't get pregnant because she never had an orgasm.
You know how many women? You know how many women have kids that probably never had an orgasm? There's probably a lot.
Well, ironically, she does have a kid now.
So she got her first orgasm.
I don't know. She might not have. And she did. She asked us that question, which was really weird because we were like, when she would ask this question at work, we'd be like, I think this is sexual harassment. I don't know if we can really answer this stuff, but she was really curious. She would ask everybody if she could come out pregnant, and she had never had an orgasm. And I was like, man, did they take sex ed out? Because I remember them having sex ed when I was still in school. So that's my yeah, she was a scary girl. She would go on and off about a lot of things, and then she was, of course, then she was. It's kind of bad, I mean, you got these people that don't really realize these things, and you can ask them questions, and they'll answer it honestly, and they'll go on, and I don't know, people would just ask her a whole bunch of questions at work, and she would say the craziest things. I just remember looking at her thinking, I'm glad I guess I'm not your boyfriend. That's some crazy stuff. So anyways, moving on from our stories of stun guns, being distracted here. So moral of the story, stun guns are coming to iPhone soon. Don't get them. you might just shock yourself when you're going to the restroom and checking
Yeah.
your Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Let's see
Push
what's
the wrong
on.
button.
Yeah, let me see. Are you okay in there? I'm all right.
You just see the legs straighten out, and you just hear two things just hit the water, bloop bloop.
Oh man, that was.
Because you'd be relaxed.
Yeah, that
Did I
was
send you?
cool.
Did I send you the text? I don't think I sent you the picture, huh? You didn't get a picture of Yoel Romero, right?
No, I didn't.
I need to put you in a group text then.
Okay.
So there was these UFC fights on Wednesday, right? Since we're talking about bowel movement, and there was this fighter named Yoel Romero who fought, and I was looking at it again. I recorded it and I was watching it and I was like, I put it on pause and I look and I was like, what the hell is that? And I look and I was like, oh my god, that guy shit his pants. And so I took a picture of it, and I guess I was the first one to kind of notice it. And ever since then, fucking Twitter has gone on a fucking rampage about this guy shitting his pants. And I fucking feel bad now that I'm the one that saw it and took a picture of it and just put it up on Twitter. So I've had other MMA fighters wanting to beat me up. Yoel's a big guy, and he's Spanish, so por favor, con permiso. No malintentions. I just noticed it.
You act like you're one of those white Mexicans like me that don't know Spanish.
Por favor, no me mates.
Yeah, see that's the reason why I don't do any of that stuff with you, because I'd be a fool and I'd probably say some really ridiculous stuff, and they'd all be upset with me.
I had one guy that was not happy about it, and I showed somebody else about it, and they're like, he was mad at you, and I was like, yeah. He's like, that dude's a fucking monster. And I was like, yeah, that's why I was trying to apologize to him on fucking Twitter.
I that's kind of funny now, because I didn't see the photo that you're talking about, but I did see the tweets where you said that you had no disrespect for people, and then you were like, and I'm really sorry that I don't want any beef with anybody, and all these things. I was like, I wonder what's going on that he's like so scared of these MMA people, but I didn't never put two and two together.
No, and I'm not being mean. A lot of the fighters are super nice, everything else, and it's kind of sad when I have interviewed some of them that have lost, and it's devastating for them. It's like they sacrificed 3 months of their lives, taken away from their family and everything else, and then when they lose, it's like a death almost for them. But
it's like the 49ers.
Yeah.
Playoff game.
Yeah, like the whole season, their whole season, and even after that, they're fully dedicated. They don't have a lot of time with their family, and then that happens, you know.
Well, and then you have the injuries. You know, I mean, you have Bowman who's out, and who knows, he might not even be able to start next year if it's really that bad. I mean, you saw his leg go all crazy. I mean, and that's just how it happens. Anyways, moving on.
All right. You're a 49er fan, right?
I am, and we just talked a little bit about. You're a Charger fan. Okay, thanks for pointing that out. Anyways, one of the things that I was going to talk about was 3D printing.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember if we talked about 3D printing before on the podcast, and that's actually catching more wind. It's getting really popular.
Have you seen the 3D printing house now that they have?
No, I haven't. Like they actually make a house out of 3D printing?
Yeah, well, the thing is that they're going to implement because for people that don't know what 3D printing is it scans a 3D image and it has an extruder, and the extruder basically makes the thing as a three-dimensional. It's almost like wax, and it's melting it as it goes into the dimension of what it's supposed to be. And so they're thinking of I think they said like in 2016 they will have an extruder that works with cement, and it would be able to build a house in 24 hours. And you're talking about a 2-story house.
You know, that's awesome. I didn't hear about that. They do have some that already work in the medical field, and people do it makes replacement parts, for people's bodies and stuff. So they do have 3D printers that, of course, work with plastics, because a lot of things that go into our body as replacements are like plastics and stuff. They usually work by putting layers. The reason why I mentioned 3D printing, though, even though they've been around now for a while and they've been getting better and better, is because for the first time, there's something, it's going to sound really generic and dumb and cheap, but it's rubber stamps. But the reason why I say that is because 3D printers can always cost, you can imagine what that would cost to build a house, like that type of printer. And even 3D printers, like in the medical field, all of them cost thousands of dollars. Even cheap ones cost still over $1,000.
Yeah.
But the one to create these rubber stamps, the device is actually going to be, I think it's sold through Casio, I want to say. It was showcased at the expo. It's going to cost $80. So that's actually a huge deduction. So you can actually download, and a lot of times you would download the template of what you would want for the 3D printing, and it can be whatever you want. But of course, this would be a rubber stamp, and it would the device would cost $80. A sheet would cost $2.50 each, and the base would actually cost $5. So for the stamp total would probably be about $7.50. So after you pay $80, each stamp would cost $7.50. So you can actually make a wide range of stamps, and you could, I guess, if you wanted to, technically, if you bought like a machine like this, you could sell them, let's say, in a local shop or something, still for $10, and you're still making, $2.50 profit. So that's actually not that bad, and have a variety. And people could say, oh, can you custom, like, let's say we wanted one, Screaming Rebels podcast or something, and then our SRP, we could actually just print it out right there on our own, and then we would have our own stamp, and people could just do things like that, and especially if you're a programmer or like, at least a graphic designer, this would be something that would be right up your field. So that's something that to me seemed more exciting at the expo, because like we talked about OLED TVs, 4K cameras, all these things are super expensive. This is something that's actually showcasing something that's been out for a while that's getting cheaper.
I saw there was a thing too for kids. It was a 3D art where you can extrude the stuff and it holds up, and so that you can make 3D art out of it. And then I guess they have templates where you can use, like, make Eiffel Towers, and they have, like, stuff where you can make houses and stuff. And I think that one's going to run about $80 too. And it's basically like hot wax. I don't know how it's for kids. It's a toy. I'm pretty sure it has a cooling point that's really fast. After it comes out, it cools off. Because it wouldn't be really safe. But if it's a kid's toy, I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't be. It's basically like a hot glue gun, but you're able to design three-dimensional coloring, basically.
Okay, and was this also showcased at this?
Yeah, it was actually it was showcased as well. So a lot of the 3D printing and a lot of 3D anything is kind of like the hot commodity for the CES. Like I said, they had the extruder. I think the extruder was there at the CES too. What basically it is a giant scanner, right? And they bring the giant scanner, and it's the size of the house that they're going to build.
It's got to be but the extruder's got to be big, because these 3D printers, you can only print as large as the printer is.
Yeah, so the scanner goes around the area, and first part comes is the man-made part, which is they lay out the foundation and everything else, right? And once the foundation is laid on this, because it's on a grid already, so the scanner is basically the grid of the sizing of the house, or a little bit bigger. And then they have this extruder that has quick rapid drying cement. So it just keeps layering and layering. It's basically like it's building bricks as it's going, and it builds it. I'll send you the site so you can see it and see what I'm talking about. But it's basically, they said that where they're going to start using it is like in China, and that where there's not enough housing for the amount of people that are living in those countries, where you would have this machinery that'd be able to build a house in 24 hours.
Well, I've seen the way 3D printers work. I've seen like tracheas built and stuff like that, and those are always really neat to see, like, when it does the layering, and those usually do take a while to actually do, but that's because it's finely tuning, right? It has to be, you're talking about millimeters, because it has to be so precise as far as in the medical field. And of course, there's a little bit more generic ones, and they get larger interlocking chains and stuff, and of course different colors. A lot of times color schemes aren't part of 3D printing because it costs. Every time you want to change the color, you got to change the cartridge. Usually, that's how it works. I mean, obviously, in the future, every year, I would imagine at next CES, there's going to be a different type of thing for 3D printing, maybe even more affordable, and that's going to be another huge thing.
And I think the other thing that I saw was I think Nissan is gonna actually release a hydrogen car,
Oh
and
wow!
it's
Really?
gonna have at least 6 hydrogen. The way that they said that it would the way they said that they would actually have stations. There would be 6 different stations throughout California, so that way there would always be a station near you to refill the hydrogen. So they're gonna have the first hydrogen-powered cars running through California by I think the end of this year.
Wow. So I mean, I remember. I only think about that because I think it was in the movie or the documentary, "Who Killed the Electric Car," where they were talking about American cars trying to push the money instead of doing electric cars towards hydrogen, and they were supposed to do that a long time ago. And supposedly that's the reason why they stopped building electric cars back then. Is because they were like, oh, well, we're going to focus on the next wave of technology instead of this one. Which, even if you do electric cars, you still got to get the gas from somewhere, and you got to, create it, and it's just going to be just as bad or inefficient as trying to do it from crude oil. So that's
Yeah.
actually interesting. I didn't know that. And you're right, they do have cars. I know they have the DeLorean. There, somebody talked about it. They were excited about that. One of the other things that I was really excited about that somebody mentioned, I don't know if you heard this, the Intel, it's a mini SD card. Well, it's the size of a mini SD card, but it's basically, it runs like a computer. It's called the Edison, Intel Edison. So what this is, and the reason why they said that they probably did is because they were Intel. People think, okay, I got a computer, Hewlett Packard, HP, whatever, blah blah. But it's the microprocessors that go in it that let it run as smooth or as fast as it does. Of course, Intel is a company that has done that, and they've been suffering for the past years because Intel is one of those ones where they didn't jump on when people were like, especially doing like Bluetooth. Well, these SD cards that they're doing, that they basically run exactly like a computer. So the example that they gave, especially at the expos, one was you could insert it into the thing that would be attached to a baby. Let's say, it would wrap around. So it'd be like it would check the heart rate. It would know how the heart rate was, how it was doing, how it was breathing, and then eventually you could even, if you wanted to, program that chip so it would be to, like, let's say a bottle warmer. So this way it would know the eating habits of the baby. So it would automatically start to want to warm up the bottle
Okay.
even before the baby was hungry. To me, this was, that was just one of the applications they were trying to use as an example. But this chip could be used, and they showed a few other different examples. Like, it was like, it really would just be like your imagination. Whatever you would imagine it to do, you could almost do it. And the beauty of it was a lot of things that you end up having to do require, like the wearable tech that we were talking earlier, requires Bluetooth. You need something else. You need like a tablet in order to do this. You need a phone to hook up with your watch. Your Galaxy Gear watch is not going to do anything unless you have a Galaxy phone or a tablet or a notebook or something to go with it. And then you hook it up, and then you can actually do stuff. But like with this other stuff, the thing that Intel was doing with the new Edison chip is it would be able to run on its own. You wouldn't have to hook it up to anything. It would actually start to do what you wanted to and apply all those things. So that's one of the things that I was looking at that I thought was really cool that that they at least released. And I think this comes especially at a time where even though we're on a rise, getting out of our recession and economic, Intel is still suffering a little bit. They are actually gonna be laying off. I think they're cutting 5% of their production cost. So they're gonna be laying off a whole bunch of people again. Technology, the way people have done it, I forget the exact amount. I would have to look it up, but it doubles every so many years. And so we're at a point where technology is supposed to be going a lot faster than it is, and it hasn't been. So of course Intel's been suffering a little bit more now. They're not doing as great as they can, so they have to be pushing for innovation. And this is one of the things where I think it's good, that they really can push, and people will say, "Wow, you got this thing that's getting smaller." I mean, like my GoPro camera. I mean, you got one too. I mean, we love those things. Those things are tiny.
Yeah,
And
and it goes back to simplicity. A lot of technology, a lot of new technology goes back to simplicity. The GoPro is small. It has only a certain amount of features, but it's good at what it does. It doesn't add all these other features that you don't need. They're like, this is what it is. This is what it's gonna do. It does 1080. It does 20. It does a 25 per frame. It does all this, and that's all you need. And
But
it's
that's
the
probably because
simplicity
it's
that
so
works.
tiny.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. But
and it's easy to just strap onto yourself,
yeah.
or even like just hold on to it. There's no, and that's what I'm saying though with this whole Intel, Edison chip. I mean, it's so tiny that you can just apply it almost anywhere, and you can use it for monitoring things. I tell you the whole wear tech gear thing. I'm not for those whole wristwatch things. There was some things that I thought that were kind of weird. I don't know if you saw the ones that look like pills where you swallow them and it measures everything in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw those. So
That's
but it's exactly the size of a pill, and you swallow it, and when it goes down, it checks your calories that you're burning, your heart rate, like it checks a whole bunch of functions within your body. They had that one. They had the ones where there were foot inserts. You put them in your shoes. It actually knows how you're running and what you're doing, and if you're doing it right or you're wrong. I mean, so there's all these things that people are applying to their gear, the whole time. I mean, I can see an advance towards that. I mean, we've seen movies from the 80s and this stuff all just sounds like sci-fi, but it's here now. We still don't got jetpacks. I'm kind of disappointed in that. We don't got flying cars,
hoverboards.
We don't have hoverboards, Back to the Future, but we do have a lot of this other stuff. This wearable tech gear. One of the commercials that I saw, one of the things that they had was a person was going to go surfing, and as he went, on his wetsuit was this thing that was strapped, and it actually said the temperature of the day, the water, the wind, everything, and then it was adjusting his wetsuit according to how his what would be comfortable for his body while he was going to go surfing. I mean, things like that. I don't need it personally, but I think it's innovative, and I think it's cool.
Yeah, I saw this. They had another thing there that was a mouthpiece that you can put in, and it pinches your nose, and you can actually go scuba diving, or you can go submerging without a big tank. It actually breaks the water into it like gills and gives you straight oxygen. But the problem with that is that you can only do it for a certain amount of time because pure oxygen in itself is dangerous for you.
Yeah.
So there's still some stuff that they need to fix, but I guess they had some guy that went up to like 100 feet down, and I think it's like 150 or 250 where you start getting the bends, right?
Yeah.
So he went to the maximum amount where somebody can actually go without getting the dizziness and the bends. Of what people don't, bends is basically the pressure of the ocean and everything else kind of compressing on your chest and everything else, and so you do need those special apparatuses to start kind of balancing it out. So, but yeah, they had this thing where you can actually just put it in and just go at it. So say like somebody goes snorkeling, right?
Yeah.
Well, they don't need the whole thing. They can just kind of go over and without worrying about breathing, because you're gonna have this apparatus that's using as an artificial gill for you.
Yeah, see, that is cool that it can break up all. I mean, because you're thinking if they can do things like that eventually, hopefully, they can work with something with the pollution. I mean, we always want them to do something like that, but somebody's got to pay for that. Somebody wants to work on that, but it takes money. But if you can do things like break up water and turn it into oxygen, why not be able to break up the carbon monoxide in the air and break it into different strands into something else? So, no, I agree. I mean, and that's why we like trying to do the CES, expos whenever we can, just for ourselves, because it forces us to go and look up, what was the hot items and what was the things that everybody was talking about. There was one that I did read and I came across, and it interested me a little bit. Not too much, because I'm a drummer and I kind of know some of these things. But one of the things that are coming out, it's called eye rings, and it's basically these. They look like rings. You put them on your hands, one on each side, and it works with like an iPad, with the front-facing camera. And I guess depending on how you move your hand, front or close, it would change. Let's say the fade in, fade out. And you could actually change the delay. You could. So when I would see somebody mess with it, like if you can YouTube it, it actually sounds pretty cool because they're doing all these things. It reminded me though. That's why I say I saw this technology back. I want to say like maybe 4 years ago. Roland Drums had created this drum. Well, they're always creating electronic drums. They're really known for that. And they're really good about it. But one of the features they did was a thing that was, I guess it was sensitive to distance. So it was like a 3D sensitivity because somebody had activated it, and when they would move their hand up and down, depending how they did, it would change the pitch. And so things like that, I just felt like it was an extension of that, and I could see that, with cameras and stuff, and people using that. Those are things that people come out. Of course, this is the time when you want to showcase whatever you got. Like we said, it ranges from a whole wide assortment of things. Did you see anything else that you thought that really stood out there besides TVs or games?
I saw that the Nissan was trying to push, like I said, the hydrogen cars, and it was actually going to go commercial. It wasn't going to be like one or two cars, kind of like Tesla made the cars, but there's only a couple. They're going as full manufacturing with it.
Would you want to drive in a hydrogen car? What happens if you get in a car accident?
They say it's almost going to be the same as if you got in a car accident with the gasoline one. It's not
like a hydrogen bar? You're not just going to boom.
Well, I think people have a misconception with the hydrogen bomb and hydrogen cars. I don't think that they use that much hydrogen in a car that they put in a bomb. I think it runs a little bit different. I'm pretty sure they probably have an emergency. They would have to have the standards for it to be safe to drive. I mean, they couldn't basically sell like back in the days when they had what were they? The ones that had the gas tanks that were made out of flint. Pintos gas tanks were made out of flint, and
really?
So when they would hit, they would ignite and blow up. So I'm pretty sure that now with the kinds of standards and stuff that people have, that they can't have that kind of they basically can't have fucking bombs driving down the street.
So I don't know how are we doing on time? Should I ask?
The what?
On time. How are we doing on time?
You know what? Google said we can now do 8-hour podcasts if we wanted to.
Well, you should have told me that. I would have bought more monsters instead of buying hot rye ale.
No, I think we kind of covered what we're going to cover on this one. We are coming up with one really quick, the next one, because we're going to talk about the Oscars. I mean,
that's right.
I think this is the first time we've actually had organization towards our podcast, and we know what the next one's going to be. So
no, that's not true. When we first started doing these podcast things, we did that a lot. We knew how we were talking about, and then we just stopped.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the Oscars next time. I watched a couple movies. I recently saw Her this weekend. So I'm kind of. You know what? I'm kind of fucking pissed off.
I'm seeing that this week, so don't tell me anything about Her.
No. But I'm kind of pissed off that Rush got snubbed. But I'll talk about that on the podcast itself. I think it comes out on DVD this week, so...
That's right. You said that you thought Rush was going to be one of those movies that swept the Oscars.
Yeah, and I was surprised that it didn't get any nominations, not even for special effects, not even for Best Picture, not even for screenwriting. It didn't get nothing, and it's...
Man, see, you made me look like an idiot. I went around telling people, oh, yeah, my buddy said Rush is going... And that Rush is going to be nominated and all this stuff. And I was thinking, Ron Howard doesn't normally do that good. Like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Ron Howard films.
Yeah, but the difference in this is, like, I'm not the only one. Like, there was a huge article, like, in the New York Times and everything else saying, how come Rush wasn't nominated? And for me, it's not like I'm not saying Chris Helmsworth did a good job. I mean, he does a good job. And you know what I barely realized is yesterday I had my son, my oldest one, Sierra, here with me, and he never seen the Star Trek movies, the new ones. And so I was like,
that's why you had a Star Trek night.
yeah, so I showed him, and you know what? I had no idea that Thor was Captain James Kirk's dad in the beginning of Star Trek. Have you seen the first one, right? The J.J. Abrams version. Remember when the Vulcans are attacking the ship, and she's giving birth, and his dad's trying to save everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking Thor. That's Chris Helmsworth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Thor is James Tiberius Kirk's dad. For people that don't know this shit.
You know, it's always funny when you go back and you see like older movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I just recently went and rewatched A Serious Man. I haven't seen the new Coen Brothers movie. What do they got? Well, it's not even out, but my parents seen it. They got like one of those free movies, you know, like that they offer, you know, so this way people can go and talk about it. The Coen Brothers are coming out with a new movie.
That's kind of cool. I like Coen Brothers. They've never made a bad movie.
I've already heard a lot of bad reviews about this one, but I can't remember what this one's called. But so I went back and rewatched A Serious Man because I like that one. And when I was watching it, I think that movie's hilarious. There's a scene when he's trying to talk to a senior rabbi and he's not there, so he has to talk to the young guy about his divorce that's going to be taking place. And the young rabbi is telling him, you know, he's trying to give him advice, but he's so young, it's almost like silly. It's like, why are you giving him advice if you know nothing about love or marriage or anything else? And he's like, you know, it's just like the parking lot. Did you ever see A Serious Man?
Yeah, I seen it years ago.
Because
it's like one of their first movies, right?
Look at the parking lot. And then he turns around and he looks out the window and goes, look at that parking lot, just like the parking lot. Look at the parking lot. Well, the young rabbi, the reason why I say it is because that's the line even in the trailer, and it always sticks out of my head. The young guy, and I didn't realize this until now, is, and I don't know his real name, but he plays Howard in A Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
Do you ever see A Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, I like that show.
Well, I recently started watching it. I'm not much of a TV show person at all, but my wife watches it, so I watch it with her all the time. And so I go, hey, did you know Howard's that guy? Like, we used to laugh about that part with the parking lot scene, you know, and the young rabbi and trying to give him advice.
Yeah.
But it's Howard, like, the whole time, like, you know, that's who it is.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, that's...
He must
that's
really be Jewish. I mean, because in Big Bang Theory, that's a joke, too. Remember that he's always Jewish.
Yeah, he's too Jewy.
Hey, every TV show needs a Jew. You know, with South Park's got...
Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what else I noticed about Star Trek that I didn't? Winona Ryder's in it. She's Spock's mom.
And yeah, but she don't come out in the second one, does she?
Well, no, because she got killed in the first one, and now I just ruined it for somebody who's never seen it.
Yeah, no, I think I remember that, but it's been a long time since I've seen the first one. The second one's alright.
Yeah, the second one's fun. It's just a fun movie. It runs really fast, and it's just action scene after action scene after action scene. The whole con thing is pretty cool. The whole, you know, well, I don't want to ruin it for people. But Rush, I'm surprised. I was surprised that it wasn't nominated. Like you said, you're not a big Ron Howard fan, but I think this movie kind of it delivered what it was trying to deliver. That's what I think I was trying to say with this movie. And I'm not saying Chris Helmsworth needed a nomination, but the guy who played his rival did a fucking phenomenal job. And then even in the end of the movie, they show split scenes of the real footage of the guy and the guy who portrayed him, and they look dead on, even the voice and everything. So, you know, they gave it to American Hustle for Bradley Cooper, which he does a great job in it. But you compare the people that he played, and they don't even sound alike. They really don't look alike. And here's a guy who's portraying one guy that was, you know, that people know and know how he spoke. And he fucking nails it. So I don't know. I was kind of surprised about that.
Yeah, I need to go watch both those movies. I know American Hustle, Hustler definitely took. That seems like the majority of the
I
nominations
wasn't
with the
I
other
wasn't too
movies.
impressed with it. I don't know. It was a
Well,
fun movie to watch and it's funny, but it's just
really, from the critics, like there's a few people that are upset, not just with that, but like even with a few other nominations. Because in the past few years, it seems like the Oscars have been really good about nominating certain movies for certain themes, at least. And, at least for certain, like you think, well, this person's got to get nominated. Like Penelope Cruz, when she finally won her first Oscar, it was for a Woody Allen film.
yeah.
Vicky Cristina Barcelona. I don't know if Blue Jasmine got nominated for anything. In
Yeah,
fact,
it got nominated. Like her got nominated, and that one got nominated for best screenwriter, best screenwrite,
original. Well, it has to be original, right?
original screenwrite, and Kate Blanchett got for best female actress. Or
And it's like, and I understand. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're probably all tired with Peter Jackson's Lord of the Ring movies and Hobbit, but he got nominated for three things: cinematography, which makes sense because it's all about cinematography. The Hobbit.
special effects.
No, it's sound mixing and like sound something else. That's it. It's cinematography and then two sound categories. I mean, we'll talk about it the next podcast, but
Yeah,
I was
but
thinking, like, I went through the list that you sent me, which is the official list of the Oscar nominations, and I was just looking through the movie, and I was like, wow.
they're weird. Yeah, it's a weird one. But before I leave, I will recommend that it's out on DVD. I would recommend Rush, even if it wasn't nominated. I'd recommend Blue Jasmine. I recommend Her. Her is a good movie, and I'm gonna let George watch it, and then we'll talk about it. And then don't make it a date movie because if make it a date movie if you know the person, but if you're going on a first date thing, I wouldn't recommend that movie because there's some awkward scenes in it.
Man, you pick the worst date movies ever.
What's the other one that I would
American
recommend?
Psycho? Didn't you pick American Psycho as a date movie one time, or no?
Americans? No, it was worse than that. It was Hostel 2. But
that's why you're single.
that's why I'm single. I like weird movies. No, but Her is a good movie. I mean, I like Spike Jonze. He's one of my favorite directors. He kind of puts you out in a different world. You know what I'm talking about? Adaptation.
I waited for like almost a year before I started showing Spike Jonze movies to my girlfriend.
Yeah, I just, you know what? Like, it's the trailer. The trailer's deceiving. It looks like a simple movie.
You're not allowed to see trailers anymore.
Yeah.
If you're gonna base Oscar nomination and whether they're good or not with trailer.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just like it looked like it was.
Zack Snyder always grabs you because of his trailers.
Fuck Zack Snyder, man. I don't like that dude. That guy is a fucking asshole. He's ruining DC. That's all I have to say. He's ruining DC. Dark Horse. Who made 300? Who was the publisher of 300?
I'm not sure. That might be actually. It might be a DC. It might be like Vertigo or something. I know it was a little bit. Well, yeah, Marvel's doing really well for themselves. I feel like Marvel's just like doing movie series. Spider-Man, the next one's coming out. I can't believe there's an Iron Man 3. Avengers 2.
I can't take serious an albino Jamie Foxx though. That's gonna be weird. Okay, he plays Electro.
Yeah, I know he does. But then again, I mean, look at Spider-Man 1. That's from this new series. I don't know. Superhero movies. I'm a comic book fan. I don't know. I'm getting tired of the movies though.
I'm excited. The only comic book that I think I'm excited, comic book movie based, is Guardians of the Galaxy and the new X-Men movie coming up.
Yeah, see, I'm not even sure if I'm excited for any of those. Yeah, I just saw Iron Man 3 for the first time the other day.
That movie's fucking horrible.
I did like the way the suit came off of him, but it reminded me of the Transformers.
Yeah, that movie fucking sucked.
Like the suit moves so much, I was like, this is like the Transformers. Are you sure somehow is it the same guy who did all this editing and stuff? Because I really felt like a lot of that was it jumps on him, the suit, and the way it moves. Like it's like I just wanted to hear this sound effect. Yeah, I felt like that was a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah. So what did you think about it? Do you agree with me on that one?
Yeah, it wasn't all that great.
I fucking hate.
Pretty good though.
I fucking hated how they made the Mandarin or the false Mandarin. I'm gonna ruin it for somebody because it's not even fucking worth watching if you haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Yeah, I fucking hate how they make him. He looked like a fucking cool terrorist. And then when you realize
Ben Kingsley's badass though.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden you realize that he's fucking a fake, like a persona for the Mandarin, and the Mandarin's actually fucking Guy Pearce. And I was like, that's fucking horrible. After that, I didn't want to fucking watch it. I was like, the fuck is going on? It would be better if it was like the Mandarin was Ben Kingsley and he was a fucking methodical Osama bin Laden looking kind of dude. That's what it looked cool about it. And
you know what though? I think that shows how good of an actor Ben Kingsley is because he was portrayed as two different roles in that movie. Now, Guy Pearce was also portrayed as two different roles, but in the beginning of that movie, he's supposed to be this nerdy, whippy kind of guy. He doesn't really play that off very well.
No.
He does play the other part really well, but not that first part. Ben Kingsley nails it. He nails every single. I like him. I really like him as an actor. Oh, actually,
yeah, because he's fucking Gandhi.
Isn't he a knight?
Huh?
Isn't he Sir Ben Kingsley?
Sir Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, he's knighted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yeah.
If I had to go to war, he'd be my knight. He'd be my right hand. He'd be on my horse right next to me.
I don't know about that. All I have to say is that dude played fucking Gandhi, and he was a fucking British actor, and he fucking played a convincing Gandhi. That's all you have to say about Ben Kingsley. He's fucking badass. But why he signed for Iron Man 3, I have no fucking idea.
Everybody needs money every once in a while. Even Robert Downey Jr. See, don't you have more fun sometimes doing these podcasts than your MMA ones? and worrying about who's going to kick your ass? Nobody even listens to these, so nobody's going to kick your ass.
It's only happened twice. That's only happened twice.
Yeah, and who's ever trying to kick your ass on here?
Probably Michael Bay. I'm pretty sure.
He's never going to listen to you. He don't care what we have to
say. Probably Zack Snyder in the future. If it ever becomes popular, they're like, remember those two motherfuckers that would talk shit about us?
Yeah, you give me too much credit. Hopefully we can have a special guest with the next one again, with the Oscars. Yeah. I'm definitely sure we can find another movie contestants ourselves who love it as much to come on and join us.
That's the only thing. That was the only thing about me being single is that I had an excuse to go to movies because I don't have my kids on the weekdays. So movies are fucking cheap to go to when you don't have nothing to do. Like over here, the Metro, there's one called Metro 4, and they usually have even the indie movies that you don't usually, like Blue Jasmine I saw there, and then I saw it again, and they have on, I think it's Tuesday, they have the all-day matinee, which is $6. I mean, where else can you go? Where else can you go see a movie for $6?
That Blue Jasmine, when it first came out, was only in select theaters, so it was actually kind of hard to find.
Yeah, it's that movie's actually one. Okay, I'm gonna say this, and
no,
George is
don't tell me because I don't want you to. No,
it's not about the movie. I was not a Woody Allen fan. I thought he was kind of a creepy guy, and I think I kind of listened more of what he was in the past, and really didn't give his movies a chance just because of the whole creepy shit that he did with his adopted daughter or whatever, right? And a lot of people.
What about Vicky Cristina Barcelona? You didn't like that movie?
The thing is, I never gave him a chance to watch his movies.
So did you see it?
That's what I'm trying to say. I started watching his movies, and I almost feel embarrassed that I allowed something that was kind of had nothing to do with his filming get involved where I wouldn't watch his movies, you know?
Well, that would be like people when they get upset because of Roman Polanski.
Yeah,
I
I was
mean,
gonna say Roman Polanski is the same way where a lot of people won't watch it because of what happened. And
man,
my favorite director is Roman Polanski. He's one of my favorite directors. Was it Seventh Gate and Rosemary's Baby? All those things are great directed movies.
well, I mean, I was gonna say the penis. I mean, shoot, that one alone. I mean, that was
Yeah,
so emotional. Huh.
yeah. So, but like with Woody Allen, I never gave him a real chance, and all of a sudden I'm starting to watch him, and I like his style of directing.
It's not called the seventh gate, all right, buddy?
Oh, the Ninth Gate.
Okay, there you go. There
Oh,
you
you have it. Well, you know what? I really
No, it's not the seventh gate. There's nine
Ninth
gates.
Gate.
That's right.
Yeah, I recently saw that
It's
one.
scary. This is a really scary movie, man.
I haven't seen it. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I saw it again. I think I saw it as a kid. What was it, like 99? When did it come out? 2000? Late 2000?
Oh yeah, 99. You're exactly 99. The first guess was right.
Yes. So I briefly remember it, and I saw it recently on Netflix. And I was like, God damn, I forgot how great this fucking movie is.
Well, I didn't know until someone else told me that I guess Roman Polanski was part of one of those like those satanic cults for a bit. I don't know if I doubt he still is, but I think that's when he did, or maybe if he even wasn't part of it, maybe he knew about them. I mean, of course, his family was slaughtered, by the Manson family. So
Yeah, but
so he might have just studied them a lot because he knew a lot about them. Because Rosemary's Baby is the same thing. It's like satanic cults.
yeah.
Anything but he executes those movies so well, where he either evokes fear. I mean, I watched the Ninth Gate and I was scared as hell. Like somebody was gonna really come and kill my ass just from watching the movie. Like I was part of this. Like how the hell was I part of this? And then you watch the team.
Because you watched it.
Yeah, I know. I felt like who cares about the ring? This was more scary. It's like, man, somebody's gonna come and get me now because of this. Then he did the penis and with Adrian Brody, and that really set him on a different level. Adrian Brody. I mean, then you feel all these emotions from World War II. I mean, I felt like I had to watch all these World War II movies. Nobody could do anything new or original. And here he comes out with the movie, and I felt like, man, like I had no idea it was like this in World War II.
Yeah, yeah. Roman Polanski is one of these great directors, and like that's what I mean about Woody Allen. I never really gave him a chance, and I always gave Roman Polanski a chance because like I grew up watching Rosemary's Baby. Like that was one of the first movies that.
See, I told you, Woody Allen. He's for Midnight in Paris.
Midnight in Paris is actually one of my favorite movies from Woody Allen. Now I love that movie.
Why the other day when I asked you, did you see Midnight in Paris? And you're like, is that the one with the Wilson brother? I was like, yeah, but you almost made it sound like it was not a good movie.
No, I didn't say. You know what I noticed about that movie that's weird. Like if you really pay attention to the movie, it's his character is almost playing a Woody Allen character. Remember when Woody Allen would come out in his own movies?
Well, yeah. I mean, even if you watch Vicky Cristina Barcelona, there's somebody in there that has the same idiosyncrasies that Woody Allen does. I mean, that's the whole point of what it's like Ant. And that's not a Woody Allen movie, but he plays himself. Ant is Woody Allen playing himself in it. Do you remember that movie? It's a cartoon, actually.
Yeah, with Sylvester Stallone and
Danny Glover,
Sharon Stone and Danny Glover and yeah. But I'm just saying, like I watched Midnight in Paris. Okay, so I watched it the time that you said, "Hey, have you seen it?" I was like, "Yeah, it's that fucking time travel movie, right?" With one of the Wilson brothers. And then I was like, you know what? I really didn't pay attention to that movie, and I recently saw it again. And what I noticed about it is that if you really pay attention to it, Is it Luke Wilson?
Yes.
Luke Wilson is playing Woody Allen. He's Woody Allen in a time travel movie. Like the way that he talks, the way that he moves, the way that he's like almost a little antisocial with other people. It's that whole Woody Allen persona in a Woody Allen movie. I thought that was kind of really genius. If you pay attention to the movie, he's playing Woody Allen. He is Woody Allen in that movie.
You know, he does. Trying to be an aspiring writer in Paris, and and all these things.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we gotta leave the movie thing, because we gotta save some of that for next time, which you can tell that we're very heated about. And I know that you actually wanted us to talk about it today, but I haven't seen enough of the movies for this past year. Without having a car, it's kind of hard, and everybody tries to get their movies right at the end. Those are usually the ones that get nominated. So all these movies that swept the Oscars came out within the last 3 months, so none of them really came out on DVD yet. So anyways, I gotta go try to catch up and see as many movies as I possibly can. Some of them were in select theaters, like Blue Jasmine. Even her wasn't released worldwide at the time.
Yeah. Blue Jasmine is out on DVD though.
Oh, is that one on Blue?
Yeah, it's out on DVD.
Okay, so I'll definitely. Well, I'm gonna try to see as many as I can. I only got like maybe a week and a half before we try doing our next podcast, and we will update everybody. We will warn them. We will have a date night. Hector and I will have a date night with you guys, and we will talk about her, masturbation, and all the other good stuff.
That movie's great. It's a very interesting movie.
Since Hector doesn't want to take me, I'm just saying.
Well, I don't want to start a fight with you and your girlfriend, and like I said, watching that movie would invoke me to at least take you out for dinner, get a couple drinks in you, maybe a roofie, and then we'd watch the movie.
Hopefully everybody's holidays went really well. I know it's been we weren't planning on it to be too long between our podcast. We want to go back to our old schedule of at least twice a month, every other week. The holidays just finished passing though. We had New Year's and Christmas. I hope everything went well for everybody. That you're still with us, and you're still continuing to be with us. And that this 2014, your New Year's resolutions, if you had any, if you believe in that kind of stuff, that it really goes for you. Myself, I am going to be trying to be more active again. I really felt like I kind of took a backside for a lot of things. So I'm going to try to really, Hector pushes me with the podcast, and that's good. So that I can continue to look forward to these meetings that we have together, because I really do. And then, of course, drumming, probably more shows than I did even last year, and for them to be more significant. I'm actually going to be starting up a blog soon. I had a blog, which I never did before. I have like two posts in the past 5 years. So I'm hoping to start all that stuff up again, in this coming year. Like I said, I got a camera now, and I used to always do my shows before and upload them to YouTube, but I'm gonna really try to do a few more interesting things hopefully this coming year, and maybe Hector and I can collaborate, and we can have some cool stuff for you guys to watch and hopefully enjoy.
Yeah, and same thing goes with me. I think me and George took a break. It was a long break, but I think we both needed it. And at first I would fight it, and I think then he fought it a little bit, but then it was something that we did need. We all went into different directions and stuff, and with me, I'm going to start doing a lot more MMA, continue doing MMA. I'm going to start really focusing on the show. Sorry, and then I'm actually working on a project right now. I haven't shared it with George, but George is going to be one of the parts of the show, and it's going to be kind of a semi-autobiographical little short that I'm going to do on YouTube of just conversations I've had with people in the past that are funny, and we're going to reenact it and make it a little more spontaneous, basically about relationships and breakups, and just kind of, I've had conversations with people in the past, and we talk about it in the end, and we think it's funny, so we kind of want to reenact it and make kind of like a little sitcom, and I think it's going to inspire me because I've been doing a lot of horror stuff and everything else, so kind of break out of that mold and actually do something challenging and different is going to bring something. And then me and George, I've talked to George about it as well, of doing some film collaborating and seeing what we can come out together with.
Sounds good. So hopefully we'll see you guys really soon, and with a whole bunch of new information and a bunch of arguing stuff, and maybe a special guest. and take that special gift out to her. So, see you then.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Once you change your philosophy, you change your thought pattern. Once you change your thought pattern, you change your attitude. Once you change your attitude, it changes your behavior pattern. And then you go on into some action.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.